right, you guys, welcome to another call. We're going to go over Q&A. I have them all laid out here. I have nothing prepared. I have not really jumped through these and prepared answers for them. I'm going to kind of just, Amy went today and put them all in order for me, and laid them out. So I had them all there. And so you get to hear raw and real. I really like to keep things authentic in a lot of these areas, and you guys just get to hear, my first response. And I think that's powerful. So again, if you guys need to jump in, ask additional questions off the questions, please do so. Here is number one. How do I overcome times when working out isn't something I want to do? How do I change the mindset on that? And I love that he included, how do I change the mindset around that? Because that is what it is, right? And there was a time in my younger days, maybe even less mature days, I would have answered that of like, you just have to go do it. And though there is truth to that, there is some truth to that. That's not always an answer that helps any of us progress sometimes, because just that the overly direct answer sometimes isn't the answer. Sometimes it is. That's the paradox of some of this stuff. But this is how I would approach that. And I think this is going to connect with you guys on that. So the first thing I would ask myself, that this is how I would answer, if I was struggling with not wanting to work out, which is a lot of days too, I would ask myself, what do I want? And to go along with that, I'd ask myself, what do I want my life to look like? And that's kind of that step number one, is I would actually sit down and I would answer that question. What do I want and what do I want my life to look like? Because if you know you need to exercise or you know you need to eat better, then you should be asking yourself that anyway, because you're obviously in a crossroads moment, I call those, where you'd rather sit on the couch or you'd rather smash the burger and fries than do what you're saying you want, right? And a lot of times when we don't go, or that we eat the shit that we don't want to eat, we do want to eat it, but when you get done, it's always, why did I do that? That's always the same answer. We always all do that. Why did I eat that? And you don't feel good about it. Your body doesn't feel good about it. And so that's really the first thing, is you need to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? Secondly, then you have to say, what do I need to do in order for my life to look like that? Well, when it comes to the question, you would say, well, in order for me, what do I want? I need to go exercise. I need to get up. I need to get up and go exercise. And the third one, maybe this isn't applicable, but it's something that I ask myself, is what do I need to learn in order to go do what I need to do to obtain the life that I want? So it's a little three-tiered system, right? It's what do I want? What do I need to do? And what do I need to learn to do what I need to do? Or, well, how do I need to be held accountable? Or, we ask those questions to ourselves. And when you answer them, don't let it be a fleeting thought. Actually write it down. Write that stuff down. Amy, do you have anything to add on that?
Um, I think it's like remembering that feeling after a workout, right? It's like no one has ever said, "Oh man, I'm so mad I did that workout." I think it's the opposite. You're always happy like that you took the time and effort to do it. Even if you didn't have much time, you only had like 30 minutes, you were glad to get that done. So you almost have to put yourself in the future of like, this is the feeling I'm going to have, and that needs to push you.
I really like that what you said. You almost need to put yourself in the future.
Hmm.
Remember, I like that a lot. You're smart. She's smart, guys. She's gonna That's really good though, for real. Pause for a moment and put yourself in the future, because you've already been through it. You've already felt the positivity from it, and you need to remember that piece. So that's really good. Okay, let's move on to this one then. Um, let's see here. What is going to keep me to stay? Okay. Um, it's just written a little funny here. What is going to keep me consistent after my program is finished? How is one to hold themselves accountable? And I think I will, because I'm loving it more and more, and I'm falling in love with all of the lifting and the running. But how does one keep themselves motivated? So this is a really good question too. off the cuff, this is where my mind goes. And at least for me, I've never gone without a mentor, and I don't even know how long. I've always had somebody that's helping me be accountable to something greater than myself or something, a goal that I'm working to achieve on. So I've never really gone like super long lapse of time where I haven't had some accountability or somebody helping guide me to what I want. And I think part of it is because I've always defined that last question that we said, what do I want? I've always done a decent job in my life. I feel like I know and I'm defining what I want. And I usually have to go learn things or go to the next level to get what I want. So to be fully transparent with you guys, since probably 2021, 2020-ish, we probably invested well over 30K in mentorships. Like, and that's just like in direct programs, like how you guys pay. It's direct. That's not including like a travel or anything like that where we go to an event. And in my last mentor, the mentor that I have right now, just to be fully transparent with you guys, I spent 15 grand to work with. I'm still working with him right now. And it was a stretch. I'm like, do not want to spend that money. It was timing wise terrible. Um, but it was one of those things like I knew in order for me to go to the next level, in order for us to go to the next level, it was an investment that had to be made. And I had watched this guy for a year actually, and I just kept on like, so I wanted to see if he actually knew what he was talking about. I wanted to see if he was consistent. That's a big thing for me is consistency. You can see people who like fake it for a while and they like just disappear. And so that was a huge piece. I watched him for a long time. And then finally, and part of it was because he was young. You guys, he's like 14, 15 years younger than me. So like in my life, I've accomplished so much more than this kid. But in the area that I'm looking to get better at, he is better than me. He knows more than me. And that's the area that I want to improve on. So to me, it was like, I want to understand how he thinks. I want to learn these inner workings, and it was worth the investment. And so, as you're going about, every piece is just continuing to grow, continuing to invest in yourself. I think that is the best money ever spent personally is helping people and investing in yourself or investing in your spouse. I think that's the best way to invest your money. From my personal perspective, obviously I'm speaking as in my 30s, so it's different in everybody's ages, but I think it's always money well spent when you're learning, you're growing, and you're expanding oneself. I'll tell a short story on this really quick. I think this is a really good relatable piece. And I'll try to condense it. Well, you guys all know we were in Vegas the weekend before last. I booked $90 flights for me and Amy to go. I wanted to celebrate her quitting her job and coming on full time. So after I booked that right away, I knew I wanted to take her to a nice restaurant. And there was this place that I had my eye on. It's called Cote, and it's in the Venetian. And I knew it was going to be expensive. And I looked at their menu previously, so I knew what I was getting myself into. But I'm like, okay, I can kind of pick and choose what I want to order and maybe not make this so crazy. But it was one of those things where I'm like, I knew it was going to be, kind of the budget at that place. And so I told Amy, I'm like, hey, you need to buy yourself a dress to go there. I'm gonna buy. I live in cutoffs and shorts, you guys. So I went and bought myself a dress shirt. I bought myself pants. I bought myself loafers. Like I wanted to look good too. And so I booked us a driver to take us there. I'm like, I'm not going to be a cheap. Last time we were there, we were 25 and we walked everywhere and destroyed our lives. And so I literally booked us a driver. He dropped us off. And from this moment, we walked out of our hotel and we walked through the casino. We walked down to our driver and we got in and he dropped us off. And we walked into the Venetian down the grand hallway with all the huge overhead paintings. And it's like you're in Italy. Like you really feel that way. And we were, we were catching people's eye. And just know that I'm not saying this from an arrogant standpoint, but we were catching people's eye and I'm noticing. And in the past, I would have felt weird about that. And I would have felt like I don't belong here. And I would have felt like I was faking it. And I went and I went to check us in. We got to Cote and I went up. We were about 30, 40 minutes early. And I went up to the hostess who's right outside the place. And I said, hey, I'm 30 minutes early. I have reservations under Miller. And she looks at Amy. She's like, your dress is amazing. You look absolutely stunning. And she's like complimenting, and she means it. It's not like this facade. Like, we already had the reservation. You don't have to impress us. Like, she meant it. And she goes, I'm really glad you guys got here early. I saved a spot at the bar for you guys. Come. And she like escorted us in. It's this tiny little like U-shaped bar where it's only like you can only stand there. And she takes us there. She escorts us through. People are watching, and the bartender's standing there waiting for us. He takes it was the craziest experience ever. Anyway, I'm standing there with Amy, and I felt like we walked through like a portal when we walked into the place. And I could feel like an inner shift inside of me. I can't even explain it. But it went from of this piece of like, maybe one day I can make it, to a belief in me and a belief in her of we will make it however we want to make it. It was this super like divine inner shift within myself that I felt super humble to experience, of just the shift in my heart of what we can do in life. And I could sit here and be like, man, that night cost me a new dress. What, I don't know how much she spent on the dress. I don't want to know. I know what I spent on my clothes, a few $100, you know. Dinner cost us 450 bucks. The driver cost, so let's just say $1,000. I could get absolutely torn up by that. That blows my mind, even just saying that out loud. I don't feel even comfortable saying it. And, but here's the kicker, you guys. That price is massively cheap to what I know will happen in my life over the next 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. I fully believe that that investment is priceless. To that experience of what happened, the shift that we both felt in that moment, you can't put a price tag on those things. And so sometimes we have to look past the money and look at what are we investing into in our life. And I hope that's the experience, and that's some of the awareness that you're gaining just being in here and being in the program and going in, like what I said, into the gym, which is your classroom, the health and fitness, which is the classroom of life of this. So you can learn about yourself, and you can look back one day and be like, dude, this investment that I made was so worth it. Yes, I dropped pounds. I did this. I got to a healthiest self, but I also gained some of the stuff that I had no idea I was going to gain by joining that program. That is what I want, because here's the thing, you guys, anybody else can help you lose weight. You can just click on one ad on Instagram and you'll get 50 ads over the next hour sliding through Instagram. But I know I'm here for a different purpose, and I know you are too. And so that's where we just come in, and that's why we talk so much about mindset, because here's the thing, I can give you the program and you won't know how to execute on it fully if the mind doesn't shift and continues to shift at the same time. And you start understanding, have these little epiphanies and these little clicks that happen. Anything to add on that, Amy?
Um, yeah, I mean, he ended that question with keep this motivation. And we all know that motivation is fleeting. And there's a reason why you joined Jordan. It's because one, his expertise, but like he keeps you going. The community aspect keeps you going, that accountability. We all like to be seen. And it's hard to sometimes do things on your own. So, I mean, you should always have some type of accountability partner as you're going along this journey. I've kind of done it more on my own, but I'm married to a personal trainer. He's my accountability partner. So, I've always had some. So, um yeah, I think it's just really important to have that community aspect to keep you going, because motivation is here today, gone tomorrow.
It's funny you talk about community, because I was up mowing a little while ago and I have this whole idea on community that I haven't told her yet that I'm going to tell her tonight. So let's go. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's get a few more answered. Does anybody have any on that we need to pause for on those first two? All right. Why do I sometimes feel like my body is not hungry and doesn't need as much food or wants more water than anything? And I actually feel better sometimes than when I am eating consistently and hitting my macros. Okay, this is really cool. So I'm trying to think of an analogy that I can tie this to, but in short, I can do this too. I can easily get really busy, like with computer work today and doing all my stuff, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's 2 o'clock, and I had some Seeker at 7 a.m. Like, and a protein shake, and I haven't eaten anything, and I don't feel bad. I actually feel pretty good. And sometimes it's because I do believe that when we're eating and fueling ourselves, it's another thing that we have to consciously think about and make a decision. And we make so many decisions every single day that when we're making the decision to go eat, making the decision to what are we going to eat, making the decision of eating well, you're making like 3 to 12 decisions just in a meal. And so sometimes I think that we are our body and our mind just feels better because we're just flowing in a flow state. And sometimes, depending on the individual, if you had previously eaten crappy and a lot of processed foods, things like that, by not eating, your actually body is probably benefiting from not having the processed food to have to work through. And so there's always that piece, but there will come a time where you have to fuel the system. You have to put gas into the gas tank or it will stop running. And so we have to remember what is our goal and what are we trying to accomplish? What do we want? We can go all tie it all the way back to that first statement. And usually learning how to fuel our bodies and doing it properly is part of the need for what we want. And especially if we want to have an energetic body and we want to have vitality in our life, it'll take, having that fuel source in our body and making sure that we're properly fueled throughout the day, that our cells are getting what they need in order to build muscle, that our cells are getting the antioxidants that they need to fight off disease and do all those things. Like it takes that fuel and it takes that system. So once your body gets used to that, then you will start feeling better for sure. So Daniel, I know you just hopped on. I was actually just addressing your question, so I'll repost this, brother, and you can go back and listen to some of that. We can dive into that one-on-one as well. um Here's another good one. You obviously need to enjoy life you have to enjoy life too. So my question is, when you have a weekend with your family or friends, are you pretty consistent with your macros? Do you feel bad if you don't hit them? Do you need to feel bad if we don't hit them? That's always goes through my head when I go out with my family and friends. Okay. So there's that question. And I remember just a second ago when Amy was talking, I was trying to read through a few. There was another one that tied with it, and it was the alcohol question. And then there was like, what alcohol is best for drinking. I'm gonna try to answer these all in one take. And then there is um I thought there was another. Oh, this one about the nutrition
Yeah.
sustainability piece. Man, I'll let you maybe dive into
Yeah.
that one. So, okay. The answer in the short, like for my mind is no, you do not need to feel bad about that. And no, I don't always hit my macros when I'm out. And to tell you the truth, my goal for all of you in the long term is to get you to a point where you don't have to count your macros every day. That is my goal for all of us in the long term of not having to do that. We have to get to a point, and I'm actually working with this with one of my VIP clients right now, is we've gotten to this point where, we've addressed some binge eating, we've addressed just like mindless eating, and now we're working at this piece of, okay, we've tracked for a long time. Now let's track 2 days a week to make sure that we're really staying in range. And then when we have certain times of the month or a certain goal, we can retrack to make sure we're in range. I'll be completely transparent with you guys. In the last 2 years, I've only tracked a handful of times to get to my body fat now, which I was about 21, 3 years ago, and I was at 7.9 before I went to Vegas. And so, and I've only tracked a couple times in that time frame to see where I was at. But I tracked for 15 years prior to that. And so for me, it was this piece of I was ready to let go. I was ready to actually trust myself, because a big piece of it was trusting myself to just, dude, you know how to eat. You know how to eat right. It's okay. Now, do we need to get to that point first? Yes. You need to learn what is in food. That's the A number one is why we track our macros, because we need to learn what is in food. Second reason why is you guys all have a goal to get your body fat percentages down or to put on muscle, depending on who you are in here. And I can help you at a deeper level at these early stages if we record the data so we can make the right adjustments for you. As we go, I have a system in place that I'm going to help you then not have to track every single day to get your goals. And it works really well. It worked tremendous for me. And I know it worked for you too. So, but we got to get to that point. We got to get you down in the body fat first or whatever the goal is so you can get there and then we transition. Okay. So that's my where you guys know. And I haven't talked too much about that. But that's my goal. That's what I've been really developing over the last couple of years for you guys to develop that system as well. Go
I
ahead,
do
babe.
always think it's good though, especially at first. And so you can understand how much you're taking in
Yeah.
is to track what you eat out. Just so you can have an understanding of what like those restaurant like meals are, what the calorie intake is and how high in fat they are and the protein and the carbs. Like it just gives you a good reality check. So then as you go forward through this, you kind of know how to order. Because on a weekend, I'm not binging or going all out on every meal. I'm getting something like a protein shake and a banana for breakfast, something really controllable there. I'm eating a lighter lunch and then I'm not really caring too much at supper time. So like you can do something really basic like that where you kind of plan it out of like, okay, well, I know we're going to be going here on supper. So what can I do beforehand so I don't go out of control and you don't lose or go backwards too much? Especially when you're in the beginning stages. But at the same time, there's going to be weekends where things are out of control and you can't get to tracking, and maybe you're not going to have much of a say of what food's being made or prepared, and you just have to make the adjustments.
Yep.
And you start again on Monday. Like that's the thing, is don't just keep making those decisions throughout the week, because sometimes people feel that shame around the weekend and be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter now. Why does it matter this week? No, you get right back to it on Monday and start feeling better. And I think once you start eating more whole foods and hitting your numbers, um, eating out is, you're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that in your stomach, like the food quality at restaurants. You're eating way more oils, way more
Yeah.
fats. It's You're gonna feel that, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm going back to how I'm eating.
Exactly. Brennan said it too. He's like, the macros aren't supposed to stress you out.
Mhm.
Just get back at it. Like, and they're not. And again, that's just a mindset. It takes minutes. And now with the AI tracker we have built in too, it's like, dude, it takes you seconds.
Mhm.
So don't let it stress you out. It's a tool for us. It's just a tool for us to help us be accountable. So, I actually need to bring on. I have a client that I have been training for a decade, in person, and she has done stuff on the app here too. But I helped her lose like 130 pounds. She was a wreck when we started, and mentally and physically, and she's lost well over 100 pounds, 130 pounds, and she hasn't counted like I think we reached that a couple years ago, Steph,
Mhm.
and she hasn't counted a macro since.
And she lives life
Yep.
like,
And she lives life and she has fun and she's gotten remarried and she like it's been amazing to watch her journey. And the system has worked really well for her. And but what happened, you guys, is when she started, I was a little worried because she was almost being too strict. She was so locked in. She wouldn't even give herself a quote unquote cheat meal
yeah.
for 1 year. She was like, I'm doing this for a year. Like, and I drastically helped her out. She was in a really bad situation. I did it for free for her. I had trained her in the past and she kind of came back and it was like she had went through hell. And I looked at her in the eye. I'm like, listen, I'm like, this many people have done stuff and accomplished it when I've done it for free. That's why I don't do things for free. This many people, I've done this for 16 years. She's number one. Like, and I looked her in the eye. I was like, I will do this for free if you do it. And she looked like she stared through my soul. Like it scared me. She was like, I'll do it. And I was like, I had to like look away because I was like, it was so, but I believed her and she did it. And I was a little worried because I was like, God, she's not giving herself but it's what she was so extreme on the opposite side of like binge eating and like mentally messed up that she knew she needed to be extreme on the other pendulum swing in order to get evened out. And so her extreme actually then evened out the pendulum. And now she like lives this super Amazing Life. She still trains with me like in person a couple days a week. And just, you know, goes on runs and rides her bike and just like goes out on weekends and loves to go to breweries. Like she's in like phenomenal shape. So it's she's, you know, I hate that we use the word term earned it, but like
Mhm.
she legit earned it and she figured it out. And she figured out how her mind worked. She's like me with the mindset stuff. She figured out how her mechanism of her mind worked, and it's worked really well for her. Let's end with this one, babe. We're about 30 minutes in. Um, so just to close that question up, never feel guilty. Learn from the weekend that happened. Never feel guilty. That's not what we're here for. We are here to be freed from all of that.
Mhm.
You need to learn from how the weekend went. What you like, you actually just need to take a moment and be like, what did I like about this and what did I dislike? Because if there was things that choices that you made that you disliked, then take that into the next time it happens. Be like, you know, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like the mentality I had after. I didn't like the way I treat whatever, and learn from it and actually then just apply it. That's how we do things here. Okay. Babe, what is the key to nutrition sustainability? Let's wrap it up with this one.
To keep it simple and basic. So I think I've spoke on this before. You have to have key staples in your pantry, and you have to have those three basic meals that you don't really have to give too much thought to. It's kind of what Jordan said previously. Like, we have to make so many decisions throughout the day. And so if you have an easy go-to meal that you can quickly put together with very little thought, you have the items always in your pantry, you know it's going to hit your macros, boom, done. You can get it done in 15, 20 minutes. Like, you have to have those types of things ready. Um, and then, like, just embrace it. Like, embrace the macros, embrace a protein, a carb, a fat at every snack, at every meal, and just start thinking of those every time you put together something. Um, Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Have those. It's about preparedness. It's about planning. It's about, like, have the shopping cart, like, have those key things always ready to go, and that's going to set you up for success.
And the last piece that goes with that is understanding this takes time in the mind as well as the body. Like I think about how many times I had a goal date set that I worked to get in great shape for, and then after the goal date came, I fell back off the other side of the precipice. And like I used it as an excuse. Like I earned to go eat like crap today, and then today turned into tomorrow, and then it turned into a month. You know, and you kind of eat good for breakfast, but then you eat crap, and then you eat good for breakfast the next day, and then, uh, and you know, and you just end up losing everything that you gained, all because you're like validating the past work that you put in. And it just took me a while to figure that out. And so the longer you stay in the game, you guys, the more you learn. And pretty soon, you learn so much that everything that took up so much mental space in your head that bothered you, it's gone because you learned, you became a student of the game and you learned things about yourself and you actually made new choices and you started be when I say you don't become somebody new, you be the person that you've always been. That is what that means. You just when you stay in the game, you start actually being who you truly are. You stop performing, you stop acting out of accordance with who you are, and you start actually being who you really are. It's amazing. Like it's just so stay in the game, keep learning, and keep applying what you learn, and you're gonna find yourself in an amazing space next month, and in an amazing space in 6 months, and in a completely different life in a year. I promise you that. Okay. Um, that is, I'm gonna end it. Okay, I'll I'm gonna end it with this one. The best methods for life balance as a husband, dad, business owner, and wanting to be the best health for your family and help accomplish personal dreams. That's a lot.
That's a loaded question.
That's my kind of question right there. Okay, this goes all the way back to question number one. You start by asking yourself, what do I want? So, Brett, I know you're not on here tonight. You're gonna rewatch this. This is how you answer that. You write, you get your journal out. I'm just gonna make a video on this. And you write down what do I want? And you go through those 3 steps and you start laying it out. What do I want? What do I need to do to have what I want? and what do I need to learn to know to be able to do what I need to do in order to have what I want. It's a tongue-tied mechanism, but it's you guys, it's that easy, but nobody does it. Nobody actually writes it down. Nobody actually goes deep into the mind for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. Like, I'm gonna get off here and shut up. You guys all go take a few minutes. The rest of it's a beautiful evening. Go take a few minutes and do that with those three questions. What do I want, or what do I want my life to look like? What do I need in order for my life to look like that? And what do I need to learn in order to be able to do what I need to do to have what I want? Those three questions. Dive deep into that. Shoot us the message. Send me a DM after you roll through all of that, okay? You guys, I'm going to call that a night. I know you guys stayed on here with me a little longer than normal, and I love that. I love the questions that you sent in. When you guys get deep on the questions, when you guys put down things that you're struggling with, it helps me know where you're at, and I can actually then help you further. And so it's a very good thing. I know I sent some private DMs to some other people today just because their questions were really just like personally specific. That helps me help you. So keep always communicating with us. That's why you hired us. Okay. Have an amazing rest of your night. Let's crush this week. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
A school